Okay, comparison between the Kanas Pro, exceptional, affordable IEM, and something that looks a lot like it, which is the TFZ No.3 Ti. Too long, don't want to watch. Of the two, I would say that this sounds better. So there you go. However, this plastic version of the same exact thing, except not the metal shell, is 1/3 of the price of this, and I think that the difference in sound is minimal, if you could tell at all. I think it's pulling shit out your ass to claim otherwise. Listening to Prince, When Doves Cry, the beginning, the auto-tuner, the vocal box like Peter Frampton used, the meow, meow, meow. He's obviously using that. There's a ton of micro detail, minutia, in just that intro of this song, and on stuff that has low resolution, not great at micro detail retrieval, that sounds a little less impressive. It sounds fantastic on the Kanas, but it sounds really good on the No.3 Ti. I'm going to have to pin that down to elevated bass, and that is part of this sound. I think this goes all the way to the early treble, bass and mids. Because this is elevated, it sounds more kind of live, I guess you could say. So I would prefer the No.3 Ti over the Kanas Pro on this song. Tupac, Ambitions as a Rider. This is where this separates itself from this. Whereas these two, I think, are quite similar. The bass on this is clearly more dominant. It graphs out to be elevated, whereas the Kanas is more polite, which is part of its appeal. If you want to EQ it, you can. If you don't, then it's going to be a audiophile-ish bass to mids transition. You're going to be pleased. You're not going to feel like the bass is too much. I don't think the bass is too much in the TA, but because I like bass, and my library includes hip-hop, reggae, rock, any rock music with a 4-string bass guitar, which is like all of the classic bands from the 70s. I enjoy listening to the bassist sound like he's there, if not really close. I like low frequency sound. I'm a fan of it. I don't like it when it's muddy, when it sounds like it's kind of slow, but I do like a good, nice bass, and this actually presents it quite well. In the bass, this is what's taken this. In the mids, there's not a lot of difference between these two. No more, no more. Piano keys, 20 hertz, 20 kilohertz, everything in between. Piano keys go across the audio spectrum. If there's a recess that's too much, the piano in its best form sounds like it's slightly back in the mix, behind Steven Tyler in my mind. If you're familiar with Aerosmith, or if you know this album, or if you listen to this a lot, in a good scenario with good gear, you can usually catch all of the piano. And when you have a V set, you're going to catch the lower keys and you're going to catch the higher keys. And kind of, you know that you listen to a set that's got a V. The keys sound a little bit back on this set, but not enough that I'm not catching it. And the resolution of this set kind of makes up for that. I can catch it fine, but it does sound like it's slightly quieter in the middle of the piano than it does on the extreme ends. And the whole part of the piano is pretty much being banged on in a Jerry Lee Lewis kind of mode. I've never seen this performed live, but I imagine that's probably what it looks like. Somebody going semi-nuts. I'm going to skip Melissa. Can't Find My Way Home. This is, as I've said 100 times, Ginger Baker, Eric Clapton, Steve Winwood, and a bassist who someday I'm going to name. The hi-hat on both of these, there's 2 hi-hat strikes of note that occur before Steve Winwood starts his first verse, and the second one is usually semi-cut off if the treble is weird, or it's a splash, which makes it sound unnaturally wide. Treble on either of these sounds very, very nice. These are really legitimately very, very good dynamic driver IEMs. I like them a lot, and I rec both of them. It's going to be dependent on your budget. If you are not poor and you like bass not too much and you don't want to EQ to get that bass, I definitely rec the TI. Possibly these. It's difficult to tell between the two if there's really anything going on that's different, because I can't catch it. Coming in from the cold. Coming in from the cold. I don't know if you guys know the song. It's a substantial bass line. I believe it's a bass guitar and also it's drums, but it sounds, because it's Bob Marley, it sounds like a double kick drum, but I don't think that's what. I think it's steel drums. But it sounds very low. You can listen to this. In my mind, it's not regular drums, but it's also not a second bassist. It's a stand-up bass, and it's maybe a regular drum kit with a steel drum inside. It's possible. It's very prominent. Sounds really, really good on the TI. Sounds normal on this. Again, this graphs out the way it sounds. The bass is not elevated. It sounds, I guess, the way you probably heard it most of the times in your life. If you were to increase the bass on this just slightly, that's what this would sound like. I actually like that. I think it sounds good. If I demoed these in a store, I'd end up buying this. If I knew the price was as much as it would, because of my salary, I'd buy this still. But there's other people that might want to stick right here because it's not an easy jump to go from this to this. These are 3 times the price of this, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. But the bass and things with bass sounds very good. Accurate, not slow, not it's not hazing up the mids, nothing. Very, very good. Foreplay Long Time by Boston. This is a kind of checking the upper registry. There's a lot of, especially foreplay, the kind of the intro to the main song. There's a lot of what I call like digital raindrops kind of falling. It's a keyboard, and I don't know what kind of gear they're using, but if you listen to it, I know Tom Schultz, I think is his name. I know he's playing with the guitar a little bit, but there's something else on a mixing deck that's added, and it sounds like, best description I can give you is rain digital, kind of like, you can catch them. They're different, literally different volumes on the mix deck, because if you listen to them, some of them sound right, some of them sound way back, and it's not really related to every set that I've ever heard, including Etymodics. It's the same presentation. They're not equal volume. It doesn't matter if the frequency is up or down in different ways. That's the general way that it's presented. And in the most balanced sets that I've heard, some of the sounds really far back because it's maybe trying to give you a sense of space, and then some of it sounds closer. And then you've got Tom Schultz that's sliding down the guitar. It's very kind of 70s. Like, if I wanted to go back to the 70s, or I wanted to go to the 70s, this playing in the background would be pretty dope. I have no idea what the fuck I just tried to say. Do you? I don't either. Listening to this, I imagine going to a stadium show in the 70s, which is famous for Led Zeppelin and all the tours that were going on. Day on the Green. God, everybody played at Day on the Green. I don't know if Boston did, but nostalgia. Just the intro of this song before it gets into the whole thing. Love it. Dope. I'm going to skip that. Ripple by Grateful Dead. This is the oddity vocal track where after the acoustic guitar comes Jerry Garcia, and for some reason on some sets he sounds like he jumps on your lap, and then in most other stuff he doesn't. Sounds very normal. On all of the things inside the frame of this video, Jerry Garcia sounds very nice, sounds proper. He doesn't sound like he's up on me, which might be if you were to graph something and it's coming from 1K and taking a very high ski jump up all the way to 4K, like in a single jump. That might make Jerry sound too close for comfort. Like I said, like a dentist that's kind of like, you know what I mean? Like red on your face. Right. It's never a beautiful woman dentist, is it? It's always an old dude that's this close to your face. Jerry's like that. I love Jerry, but I don't want him to be so close. I'll skip the bass because I've already gotten into that. I'm trying to find Marshall Tucker Band. Can't you see? All 3 of these sound outstanding. This is the kind of song, it's got a 4-string bass guitar, standard, typical. I don't know how many members there are in the Marshall Tucker Band. At least 4, possibly more. I'm imaging that there's more than just 4. This isn't like a Led Zeppelin or like a 4-member group. I believe that there's more members in Marshall Tucker. Maybe like the Allman Brothers, sometimes 2 bassists going on maybe. I'd have to check. Obviously, I don't script myself. This sounds really, really good on all three of these sets. Again, there is no weak point, not on stage, not on micro details. The difference between these three would be the bass presentation, which of dynamic drivers that I've tried, this would probably be the best that I've tried. It's very, very nice. It's something that you could listen to for a very, very long time. And now I'm going to segue into this, which is the regular number 3. I'll be fucked if I can tell the difference between this and that. And this sounds better than the Kanas Pro. And this is priced about the same as the Kanas Pro. This, I saw a review on the internet, and there was it's deeper than it's, you know what I'm talking about? It's wider than it's deep. It's higher than it's fucking whatever. This fucking that over here and that and then again and again. It's fucking vocabulary gymnastics. What I read to try to get my mind around. Is somebody else hearing the difference between? And in every category, this was better than this. So the bass, this was better. In the mids, this was better. In the resolution, this was better. In fucking stage, this was. In every fucking metric, like it's fucking science. This came out better than that. And I like this a lot. But this is the elephant in the room. You simply can't ignore the existence of what is the same fucking driver in a different shell. So what the fuck? I'm listening to a library that if you were to let me fucking zoom. That doesn't focus in a little bit. Listening to that and listen on these, and I got a good ear. I've been listening to stuff for a while. People come back and pretty much hear what I'm hearing. If I say that there's a ton of micro detail in something, people say, yeah, that fucking thing fatigues me. Not me, but that's micro detail. That's what it does to other people. If something's got light on bass, I usually hear people say that. I think that FH7 has got a hazy mids, and I think that's going to be borne out, and people are going to start talking about popping the screen off of that thing. I talked about that with the FH5 originally. People said that makes no fucking difference, but if you talk and look back now, there's a lot of people saying if you got the FH5, yeah, even if you don't believe it, just fucking pop that screen off. It's probably a better idea, because it is actually a good idea. Maybe that will improve the FH7 like it did the FH5, but I haven't gone there yet. But my ears are. I have OCD. I listen to particular parts of tracks more than the whole track, which is sad. And someday I'll get out of that because I'll get out of the hobby, but that's where it is right now. So while we're looking at these, this thing's just fucking lounging around. It's plastic. The cable actually is not bad. It doesn't get in the fucking way and get all natty or none of that shit. It's not as nice as the cable on this, but I'm not going to pay that much just for a cable. Does this sound better than the Kanas Pro? I think it does. I think this sounds better than the Kanas Pro. And I would like other people who've got both of these, that's not a fucking reviewer, please spare me, chime in on this. I think that the bass sounds, so comparing this and this one, I thought these are very much a wash, but this bass presentation is exceptional. It's not overdone. It's very, very good. It's this plus a couple dB, pretty much. And the treble is very much the same. And the mids, pretty close. I would take this over that. But this is 3 times as much. And then I listened to this one, because I'm trying to figure out what the dude I checked on the internet's talking about. I don't know what the fuck he's talking about. No, I have no idea what the fuck that dude's talking about. This has more sub bass than this has it? Really? I didn't hear it, man. I didn't hear more sub bass on that than I did this. They both sounded very nice. They both hit a song that I've heard thousands of times on my car audio system, on my home system, on headphones, on earphones, and no way did this sound to be lacking in sub bass relative to that set. This is not like a review. This is since it came out. I've been listening to this thousands and thousands of times. If something's a little bit weird, I note it right away. Not only that, but the micro details, as I've said many times, they mixed and mastered this really, really fucking well. One of the better West Coast, until Kendrick Lamar came out with Good Kid, Mad City, this was one of the best that came out of the West Coast. DJ Quick had an album, also the DOC. The DOC, like the guys that were mentioned in NWA, they actually had an album out, I think, or released 2 singles, and those were both done really fucking good. EPMD too. Strictly Business LP, fucking dope, really, really good. It has nothing to do with years or anything. It's, I guess, the talent of the producers and to some extent the gear, but some stuff is done well. I know this song really fucking well, and it sounds dope on this. And the sub bass in no way is inferior to this. Both of these are better than this when it comes to bass. So, in comparing these two, I had to. People are gonna say, "What about the plastic one, man? Is that one? How is that?" And I'm telling you, it's the best of the 3 because it's no different from that one, and it's 1/3 the price. So I would rec this number 3 over the Kanas Pro. You don't need to spend 3 times. Save your money. It's very impressive that the Kanas Pro has been on my list for as long as it has, and it's still kicking ass. If you've got this, there's no need for you to move along. But if you thought, I'd like to try something with a little bit more bass, but it's still in the same price range, then take this out of your... Get this, man. Throw another cable on it, like I'm going to do. Maybe I'm going to do. These are sent to me. I'm going to keep this. I maybe throw an awesome cable on this because this is sturdier. So I'm going to keep it and put a cable on it. But the rec is for this because it's competitive with that. $109. Great detail. Great bass. Not bleeding into the mids at all. Mids are good. Not notably recessed. Same as that set. Treble is very, very nicely done. This is a very good set. It's the best TFZ that I've tried. And it's $109. Oh, I wrecked that set. And I don't know what the fuck to tell you. So if you had this set and you thought, they're a little bit heavy, I'd like something a little more, for on the go, this right here. Because they're lighter and they're plastic. And I actually think that these sound better than this. Just a little bit because of the bass. And I think that these are fucking beautiful, and I'll probably cable these and put them in my case. But you don't need to spend $300 for that. Get the fucking plastic ones, man. They're dope. Seriously. And if you're thinking, well, plastic, man, the fucking the Moondrop A8s are plastic. The fucking Fearless S8F are plastic. The DM6, DM7, most of them are actually. These metal, steel, zinc, and magnesium fucking shells are the rare ones. So if you're into that, I guess. But I just like the music. So the rec goes for this set. Like them both. No reason to spend 3 times the money. And I just took like a 5-minute video and stretched it into 18. I can't steal your soul, but I can steal 15 fucking minutes.